What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to the MrStraightFacts show. Thank you for joining me. This weekend and even today has been a trip, right? I started out today, asking the people a question because it really was on my mind. I have these questions sometimes that just, they don't have an answer because, I don't know. I just think that in this situation, mainstream media has its own agenda. The reason why I say this is because I asked a question today. If you ever got a chance to look at it today, I asked this morning. I said, "Quick question: why do you see like far right Republicans, MAGA, on mainstream media, but you never see any far left liberal pundits on mainstream media? The ones that are giving it to the Republicans like really hard and standing on business about wanting to help everybody and that we can make it work and all these different things, that things can be paid for, going at Republicans and saying, you guys are always saying we can't pay for stuff, and then you go out and spend a bunch of money on things that never turn out. But when we talk about, giving money to the average everyday folk who can create jobs, who can increase our economy by creating jobs and living wage jobs, because small businesses actually make up more of the employees than large businesses and their billion-dollar donors, you don't see any far left liberals literally going toe for toe with like the Scott Jennings. Welcome, Emma. Welcome, Benny Loco. And welcome, Vera. Thank you for stopping by. So you never see that. And it always threw me off. Like, why don't we see stuff like that? And that's a question I think we need to start asking a lot more so that we can start getting like far left people. Like in the top of my head, all I know really are far left leaders like Bernie Sanders, AOC, far left. That's the only ones that I know of as far as like the people who are leaders. I'm talking about pundits. Who's going out there and spreading the word of the far left? And it's crazy too, because they make it seem like it's the boogeyman, but the far left just wants right for everybody. They want to be able to end poverty. They want to take care of the earth. I mean, they're just like the people who give a damn about the world. And they want to figure out a solution. And instead of that, they rather have these people who care about nothing but destroying the world and making a lot of money. And those people get all the airtime. They end up owning all the airwaves in which we actually see things. It's only on the independent media that you get to hear the other side. You won't hear anybody like me on regular news or any kind of mainstream area. Even on some of these social media, you won't hear anybody going at people like me, going at their throat. We still have that, there's some kind of hierarchy. I don't think it's a reality for me. I don't believe in you are better than me because you got more money than me. I don't think you're better than anything else. It's like, for me, I think everybody should think is that if you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. Point blank, period. That's why I go at people, and I don't care what position you work in. If you're wrong, you're wrong, right? So I had that question today. If you got a chance to see it, you can comment if you want to now, or watch the video and comment. I appreciate it. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers, so please, let people know. Trying to get our numbers up, but I'll continue working. That is one of the questions I had on my mind. And then I saw one of the first things I saw when I opened up one of my apps today. It had the Trump post, the truth post. This man's a nut job. I mean, seriously, his post basically said all of Biden's pardons, especially for the ones who went after him for breaking the laws in which he did, all of his pardons be null and void because he signed it with AutoPen, and plus he didn't even know what was going on. I mean, this is on a Truth Social. I mean, a failing app. This president of the United States is hereby decreeing on an app. It's insane. It's insane. If you had Obama, if you had Biden. Hell, if you had back in the day I'm just doing all Democrats. If you had a person back in the day, another president, Democrat president at the top of my head, Jimmy Carter, he just passed away. You would think they're batshit crazy if that's how they put out official information, knowing that this is not official, but he spoke about it as if it were. It's some of the craziest things. Now, I looked into it, and there has not been any legal ramifications, anything for him to be able to do something like this. No justification for him to do this. This is just gobbledygook. It means nothing. But here's the thing that trips me out with that president, with Biden, not Biden, but Trump. Here's the thing that trips me out with Trump is that he'll put out some shit, and then everybody will fucking take it serious. The news will take it serious. They'll go ask lawyers, is it possible? This shit is batshit crazy. We justify his insanity and make it something that's, it could be, could not be. This shit, I guarantee you, will see a court. When this shit should have been blown off as laughing at him. Like, this dude is nuts. Next story. No, they blow up the insanity and make it something that we need to be speaking about. And then all you got to do is go find one lawyer that's well-versed in law, reputation and all, maybe even a judge. Is this viable? No, it's gobbledygook. All right, next story. And if you're going to say anything about it, make fun of him. Don't validate it. I seen somebody on CNN, I think his last name is John. Was it John Berman? He's like, he kind of like said that this isn't possible. And then he go, but you never know. No, you should have kept it at it ain't possible. You never know should have never been in your lexicon. You should have dropped that part off. They should have edited that part. Because now you're giving it life. You're saying that it could be. No, just cut it out. Say no. And it will die. The story will die because this fool knows he doesn't have that power. And if it ever reaches a judge, then you can bring it back up. But stop carrying this guy's idiocy every freaking day, all day long. It's just insane. He knows he can get you by putting stupid stuff out. Right, Vera? The man is not well. So that was just my view today when I saw that Truth Social post. I was like, wow, we're gonna have another one of those. What do you have? Covfefe or some shit like that. I guess he meant to say coffee, but I don't know why he was texting coffee. But it's one of those presidencies again, where every freaking day, one of his idiotic posts is gonna be something that we talk about all day long. And I'm just mentioning it now, and then I'm going to get over it. But I'm just saying all day, I've been sitting here watching clip after clip after clip, and I'm like, yo. And I'm talking about the news, mainstream media clips. And I'm like, let it go, let it go. If it reaches court, okay. But right now, make fun of him. Make fun of Trump. He can't stand it. Make fun of him. Don't validate this shit. Make fun of him. And when it becomes a validation, then bring it back up. But make fun of him. If you're going to bring it up, call him an idiot. Say this is the dumbest thing I ever heard. Put on lawyers or judges that say this guy is an infant when it comes to knowledge about. I don't understand how somebody with such a low IQ being the president. Because this right here is trash. You can look at law, whatever. It doesn't guarantee him any kind of right to do this. And all this Project 2025 stuff is just basically trying to rewrite the laws to give the president, kingdom, like becoming a king. It's insane. So anyway, but if you want to subscribe to the show, most of the people in here probably are subscribers, but I always put the banner up just to let you know that you can subscribe to the show and support us and bring the numbers up if we can to continue doing what we do. I appreciate you. And I'll put it up right there. That's cool. Now we're going to move on to some stuff that I saw. I don't know if you guys saw it. I didn't see the full interview. I got to watch it after. I just got off work. I got here and got ready and everything like that. And I saw a bunch of clips. And Don Lemon had an interview with Bill Maher. And now I saw these clips. I also saw Don Lemon on for a little bit live. I saw him say something about go watch this video. So I just saw a bunch of clips after that. But the clip that I saw was Bill Maher talking to Don Lemon about how he was at the SNL, or well, he watched, I guess, the SNL, 50 years, and he saw Tom Hanks and the black anchor of the little game show they do. And he went to go shake his hand, and he had the MAGA hat on, and he wouldn't shake the guy's hand. And he's like, that's a bridge too far. And I'm like, Bill Maher, are you out your freaking mind? This is comedy. He should have asked him, Don Lemon should have asked him and said, and Don Lemon did say something similar to this. Don Lemon said, well, Bill, it's comedy. What'd you think? He goes, I know. It's just like Bitch Fest 2025. He just wanted to bitch at something, so he brought something up so he can bitch at it. It's like, dude, it is SNL. Please tell me the division that black people have with MAGA people, unless they're black MAGA, you know what I'm saying? We still have a division with them and with just everyday like liberal Americans. But in this situation, a black person or white person, we do have a divide between the two. They're trying to get rid of our history. You know what I'm saying? They said DEI, which is just the N word, wokeism, and what do they call the woke virus? All of that is all about black. If you don't believe that, every white pundit that has to deal with that brings up, like the MAGA people that brings up DEI, CRT, woke virus, woke mind virus, woke, whatever it is, they always attach a black person to it. And then they'll tell you, what are you talking about? It's not racism. What are you talking about? I'm like, you attach a black person to it every time. Every last one of them has said something to the effect, if I go into the hospital and I see a black doctor, a black female doctor, I'm just saying, it's a DEI, it's a DEI. Why? Black doctors have created stuff that white doctors have never even attempted or even accomplished in their lifetime. It was a black person who did like the first like brain surgery. It was crazy. I'm like, come on. Why would you think just because somebody's black that they're not capable other than being racist? Right? And so that's what they mean by DEI. And what gets me with Bill Maher is that Don Lemon said, well, Bill Maher kind of led him on to say like what he didn't believe that, MAGA was that racist the way, Tom Hanks wouldn't shake the black guy's hand. And that's when Don Lemon said, MAGA has a lot of racists within MAGA. I would venture out basically to say the majority of them are racist. And he's like, no, I don't believe that. This being Bill Maher. And then Don Lemon came back strong and said, well, he said, I think they would take offense to that. He said, well, a lot of people take offense to the truth. I was like, score. I was so excited for Don Lemon. I'm like, man, I like Don Lemon. I could go out and have a beer with Don Lemon. That shit just got me. I was like, wow. I've never seen him when he was on CNN, he went at people, but you could tell he was still in that corporate mentality. He had to back up a little bit. I remember when he went after Vivek Ramaswamy, this was right before he got let go. But at that point, it felt like he had just gotten tired of playing the corporate game and just went at Vivek Ramaswamy with real history as opposed to Vivek's, fake history. But the thing that gets me about Bill Maher, you can tell when Bill Maher turned. Bill Maher turned because he used to go at Trump all the time and even Trumpers and MAGA. But once it became a situation of teaching people true history about this country and how white people had done so much wrong in the past and how kids were learning that, and he didn't think that it needed to be done, he started getting on, like that far right mentality. Because of what? Because he's white. This is what black people talk about when we have white people who want to be like allies or whatever they say, accomplices, whatever these different terms and adjectives, meaning they really get it and, they've learned and educated themselves. But it's just a small little like truth that hits to the quick that'll turn some of them about face and start arguing for the racist. He started getting offended because of people saying, that all people should be treated fairly. That, trans women are in sports and stuff like that. He's like, oh, it's just that woke mind virus. I'm like, please explain what woke is. This is what I want. I haven't seen the whole interview. This is what I want to have Don Lemon or anybody ask him. Please explain woke to me, Bill Maher. I mean, the guy who dates black women, who's always hung out with black people, always talks about his association with black people. He has no problem with them. Please explain to me what woke is, the woke mind virus, all this shit that you so easily say. Tell me what it is. I guarantee you he'll try and tell me what it is. This is the same guy, Bill Maher, who did his homework on religion. Went and made a documentary. I think it was called Religionists or some shit like that. Went and made a documentary to debunk religion and Christianity. Spent millions of dollars to do so. Promoted it. Took a tour around the world talking about it. Right? Did all his homework on Christianity, but didn't do his homework on woke. Didn't do his homework on DEI. Didn't do his homework on CRT. Doesn't do his homework on racism within the MAGA party. He acts like it's a minority of them. When all of them are running around saying woke, woke virus, DEI, when it means black or the N-word. They don't even know they're saying racist shit and acting like they're not racist. They're giving way to the racists. Racist people are looking at y'all and saying, look what we got them doing. They're out here saying N-word, N-word, N-word freely, not even knowing they're saying it. Look at the Southern strategy. If you go back, the guy who created that literally said, we used to be able to say N-word, N-word, N-word. He thought he was off the record, but he was being recorded. N-word, N-word, N-word. But we can't say it anymore. So we started saying things that meant that kind of hurt white people, but not enough. It hurt black people more than it hurt white people. So we started saying busing. When they bus students, the word busing was the word N-word. We don't want any busing in our area. We don't want any N-words in our area. He said we had to figure out ways to get the racists to be on our team. And for white people who may not be racist, wanting to be on that same team because they got people like them saying it. So their whole strategy is always trying to destroy other people by using terms that seem like they're just regular terms. But the thing is that they're always attached to black folk. Why? Because we move the needle for hatred. We move the needle for every race. If you badmouth black people in a certain way and you attach them to something negative, almost every culture, even non-racist people, even black people, will jump on board because they think it means what they're telling them it means. They don't even recognize the fact that whenever they mention their word, they're talking about somebody black. It doesn't equate. And you can tell me that Bill Maher, or you can't tell me that Bill Maher doesn't recognize that. The man who did all the research on religion and made a documentary, Religionists or something like that, but did no homework on MAGA. That's like saying, oh, I'm cool with the Klan, but I don't believe in what they believe in. So you're telling me if they had a Klan rally, you would go. You just don't necessarily believe what they say. You're not going to follow through on what they think, but you'll have a drink with one of them in a heartbeat because, it's like my cousin. He looks like me. It ain't against me, it's against y'all. That's what it sounds like to black people, to people of color, and to good white people who just aren't racist. You can see it. It's not like it's hard to see. It's not like it's invisible. It's bright as fuck. But they ignore it. They put shades on. They act like it's not there. And then gaslight you and tell you, I don't see it. Yeah, you do. You're just playing dumb so that you don't have to face it. You know, that responsibility thing. You know, teaching people their true history makes you feel bad, so you don't take responsibility. You try to make it an evil. So therefore, it doesn't have to happen. And now I feel good, and fuck what they feel like. So what if they don't get to learn their history? Who cares? But I want to know mine. So you care about you and give two shits about anybody else. Sounds like a Republican racist to me. But little do, I know about them, but I know enough just by the way this country has run in my 50-something years alive. But it's not hard to recognize racism when you see it. It really isn't. It really takes effort not to see it. It takes a lot of effort not to see it. You can hear your friends say the N-word and you look past it. You can hear them say something. You can feel it when somebody's saying some kind of racist. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of awkward. But you play it off. You let it go. You don't say nothing. And guess what? If you don't put anything on that particular thing to try and kill it, all it does is put sunlight and water and nutrients in it and makes it worse. It grows even stronger and stronger and stronger. You got to chop that tree down when it's there. Otherwise, it's going to continue to grow because it has nothing to stop it from growing. Because even people who say they're not do nothing when they see it. They feel comfortable around you to say it, to do it. And if they feel comfortable around you, think about what it's like for a person of color around that person when nobody's there to put that person in its place when they decide to act a fool. We see them all the time. We've given them a name, Karens. I don't know what the guys are called, Kens, whatever the hell they are. We see it all the time. It's not new. It's just that these cameras are catching it. Technology's making it so that you can't do it without being seen. So much of it goes past without getting caught. So when you talk about Bill Maher, I want to go see the rest of this interview. I would suggest you go see it too. You see him talk about that woke virus, and he'll still say it. But I don't know if anybody in his life has told him that it's the N-word. I don't understand how he hasn't addressed it and said, wait a minute. Whenever we bring up that word, we're talking about black people. Or people of color. It's never attached to white folk. Even though in DEI, white women have received a lot, if not the most. Also, it's not about just race. It's about people who are disabled. They received a lot as well. It's been on for a long time now. I mean, I remember back in the day when I would literally help someone up the stairs in a wheelchair. I mean, my boy would get the back and I'd grab the two wheels in the front and I would carry the homie up the stairs and then drop a wheelchair. Oh, I remember those days. DEI made it possible that ramps were built for them. It's amazing to me how this party, MAGA Republicans, are so focused on fucking with people who are different. When you come down to it, all they care about, if you think about it, they're going against trans people. Who are they hurting? Who are they hurting? You're just making up shit just to get people to hate. Hating on women. Hating on educated black women. Hating on black men. Hating on gays back in the 80s. Now you got gay people who are in the Republican Party, which is crazy to me. You got gay people not liking trans people. I'm like, How do you go through being beaten and killed for your sexuality, and then you're in a Republican Party that hates on people who are just like you? It bothers the shit out of me how people cannot see that. It's like, for me, I to be able to justify it, I gotta say they see it, they just don't care. I can't believe somebody's that stupid. I just can't. That you can't see it. You see it, you just don't care. And that's what I see the Republican Party as. The party that does not care about anybody. If it could be a party that has nothing to do with anybody but money and power and success, they wouldn't even, if they could do it with robots, they'd do it. They don't care about people. They never make bills to help people. They never really create jobs. They always want more money so they can go out and buy yachts, buy back stock, all that other shit. All they care about is money, power, and taking control of women's bodies. I mean, this is like the freaking Satan on earth. I'm like, dude, you don't have any feelings toward anybody but yourself. I'm always asking. I don't have any Republican friends now, but I asked him. I said, dude, when's the last time you gave a damn about anybody? I mean, where's the last bill that was created by Republicans for the people? Not about them, creating another business. No, about the people. Where is the thing where you guys care? You guys are trying to get rid of Social Security. People pay into that. It's not free. Social Security is something that we all pay into. How the hell are you going to try and get rid of something that we pay into? That shit should be guaranteed to us. We paid into it. It just doesn't click to me. Like, what is their motivator? And it's just money. It's not about people. I mean, you don't even care about your grandma, do you? You really trying to get rid of something that your grandparents are living off of. What kind of demonic person would get rid of their grandma or grandpa's Social Security that they paid for, that they paid into their entire life? What kind of person would they be? Or the fact that they want to privatize it. Do you think about this for a second? Hey, DJ Azur, I see you just saying, if you privatize Social Security, do you understand you could lose it all? Because you got to make profit off of privatizing it, which means they would just raise the cost on you whenever they felt like it. Once it gets into the market, it's like, oh, you can't pay for it. Don't have it anymore. We're going to raise up, the amount that you pay for Social Security because it's not paying for itself. We've been investing in and losing money. So we're going to have you guys, everybody's going to have $10 increase based off of the economy. $10 increase. Or $100 increase. You know what? I feel like getting another yacht. $1,000 increase. You don't want to privatize shit I pay for. The government is not a business. Point blank, period. We pay into it so that it protects us. It's there for the people, by the people, run for the United States citizens to keep us safe. It is not about making this a business. What the government does is be able to try and improve our economy. They give out subsidies, loans, and things of that nature so that we can build a stronger economy. Utilizing the money that we put into it to make everybody else's life better, to possibly obtain the American dream. And over the decades, they've made it harder and harder for the American to be able to get a part of the dream. We've had to work 2, 3, 4 jobs just to get by, not to succeed. While billionaires are getting hundreds of millions of dollars, some billions of dollars, $1 trillion for Verizon, but it got taken up by Elon Musk to create things, when we could be giving that to the people who really can create things that matter to the American people. And it would go right back into the economy, because the average person is out here trying to achieve the American dream. and they're having to pay it back with interest while rich people get it for free and never have to pay it back. It seems like it's backwards. We pay into it and rich people steal from it instead of them giving it to the people who decide to do more for their country. The more you decide to do for your country, you should have an opportunity to do so. So if you're, 20 years old and you decide, you know what, I think our country needs to work on, climate change. Well, I need to be able to create an app or something or, technology that can help that. And then those kids, 20-some years old programmers, you should be giving them $10 million to come up with something. These amazing brains that are so young and energy and vibrant, you should be giving it to them, not to these old farts who's like been rich their entire lives. Their daddies, gave them issues and shit. And now they out here trying to destroy everybody's lives and fire everybody so they can make more money and waste it and play games with it. You should be giving it to these 20-year-olds, these 30-year-olds, these 50-year-olds who's got small businesses and can't grow. You should not be giving it to people who don't do shit with it. And they lose it most of the time. They gamble with it, knowing they don't have to pay it back. And they have lobbyists that they spend millions of dollars a year to get these $100 million loans or investments or subsidies. The average person doesn't have that. How is it fair that we put our money in and then the rich people use millions of dollars to snake it all out of our own hands and then say, oh, we don't have any more money. We got to raise taxes or cut some people's jobs. How about we cut the money we give to you and give it back to the people? How about we put on halt for the next 5 to 10 years any of these $400 million deals we got with corporations and give it to the people so that they can build and not have to work 2 or 3 jobs? How about that? You would think that would work. Hey, Monica, how you doing? But it's just insane to me how they would really put, Americans in this situation. And then the rich don't pay their fair share in taxes. They're always trying to get more out of your pocket, out of your kids' mouths, off your kids' clothing, off their backs, off your backs. Everything they do goes up. These tariffs are going to destroy the poor family that's just getting by. It's going to destroy them. The middle class families, it's going to destroy them. The only people who are going to survive this are the rich. And that's why Americans feel hopeless. They did a poll or something like that, and I think 27% of the Democrats, approve of them. The rest, I think it's like 50-something% or something to that nature, don't approve of them. And again, I don't know. They're studying the questions they asked, but based off the people that I talked to, it's not like they're going to go to the Republicans. They're just pissed off at their party. They need them to fight. That's all that is. Those 50-something or 20-something or 50 that are for or against them, I guess, is 20% like them, whatever. It's like something of that nature. I think it's 27% favorable of the Democrats. And it's very low. But again, that's because they're not fighting. I put out a video. I told y'all, if y'all see my other lives, I want Jamal Bowman back. Can we get him into some kind of special election? Can we get him in? I want him back. The way that brother lit into them about gun violence was all in their face. Talking about they cowards, they're feckless. Oh, I would do anything to get that man back. Anything. Love me some Marvin Gaye. Yeah. What's going on? Yeah. As what does it say? Scott, what's up, Scott? Marvin Gaye's What's Going On album is important now as was back 50 years ago. Natural fact is, oh honey, I can't pay my taxes. Makes me want to holler. Yeah, it really is. It's crazy how we're still in the same place 50 years ago and 60 years ago, having the same situation. You'll hear some of the things back in the 50s that were being said that we still are going through today. And it's like, how far have we really come that these same issues are alive and well today? I mean, we solved until recently. We solved the measles, but we can't solve this shit. It's crazy. And I don't think anybody's really working hard enough to do it. Here's one thing I've also noticed. I don't know if y'all paid attention to it, is that we really don't have a core group of like liberals, black folks, or people of color that are constantly fighting against these racist white groups that are constantly trying to destroy people of color, women, disabled people's lives. It's not like we're so on the like we just want to ride and get along. They're always on this hate train, and we're always trying to defeat the hate train. But the hate train's been going nonstop for like hundreds of years, and they were underground doing it for the longest time. This energy to consistently try and destroy cultures, and it's mostly, again, like I say, they use us black people as the bait. It's like they literally use everything they can to destroy the ideology of what black people are, to get things to change by saying adjectives that describe black people, that racist white people know it's about black people. But for some reason, everybody else is oblivious to it, except for black people. Because we recognize how they say it and who they say it to the most. It's not rocket science. You have to be the group in which they're going against to kind of like recognize it, like on location. As you see it, I see what that is. On site, I see what that is. Other people are like, what are you seeing? What are you seeing? I'm like, you didn't hear what that person just said to me. Because it's not, your radar is not on. Ours is always on, because we always have to be in a defensive. Almost always. Lord knows we don't want it to be, but it is. Our biggest issue is with racism. Yeah. Yeah, big time. What's up? Is it Nene or Nina? Nina. How you doing? What's it? Sickle Fit? Good to see you. Yeah, but it's nonsense. A lot of stuff that we end up going through. But we're gonna move on to another topic. If you want to support the show, I'll put down at the bottom what you can do to support the show. Keep it going. But we're going to keep going here. One of the things that Donald Trump did today, after that tweet, the insane tweet, he had another thing that he did. And now this is major, but it really has no teeth to it. And not in the situation that he's not doing it. It's the fact that it's based out of like whole cloth. He just made this shit up. And somehow, again, when I talk about, racism and how easy it is to get people to act on it. When Donald Trump evoked today, I mean, this is for 14-year-olds and up, the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Now, many people may not know, but again, that year should tell you something. Just the fact that it's before the end of slavery, that should tell you something. But it had nothing to do with slavery. It had everything to do really with the war in France or something like that. They thought that French people, we were going to go to war with France of some sort. And therefore they created this thing so that it's based on the United States going at war. And anybody in the country at that time that was from that area of that war, they considered them to be aliens. Now, I'll give you a little bit of it. It was signed into law by President John Adams, and that was July 6, 1798. And it was intended to address concerns that foreigners, particularly from France, might pose a threat to the United States' national security. As at this time, the United States was on the brink of war with France during the Quasi-War, 1798 to 1800, a period of diplomatic and naval tensions between the two nations. So that's when it was created. And it's implemented in times of war. Ladies and gentlemen, are we in war? Are we at war with Venezuela? No, we're not. So how could this be an enacted thing? It can't, just based off the law itself. This is that Project 2025 stuff about trying their damnedest to just skirt the law or make their own law out of whole cloth. This is what it meant. And we're going to try and shape it and mold it into what it wasn't meant. You're the president. You can make anything happen. Orange King. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Azure, Japanese internment camps weren't that long ago. No, they really weren't. Exactly, Meadows. Monica Meadows is only enacted 3 times. We're going to go over that. And then what this provision allowed was for the president to detain, expel, or otherwise restrict non-citizens from enemy nations during times of declared war. Again, we're not at war. The act did not apply to citizens of neutral nations or U.S. citizens. So it did not apply to Germany. It did not apply to any other country or U.S. citizens. It was just to France when it was created, based off a war. Now, again, if there's another war that comes, I'm pretty sure you can amend that. Of course, it has to deal with war, so whatever country we're at war with. But at that time, it's only based on the country that we're at war with, period. It was used, War of 1812, like Monica Meadows said. During the war with Great Britain, British nationals residing in the United States were subject to arrest and deportation under this act. However, the enforcement was limited, as many British subjects in the United States were deeply integrated into American society. So even then, it was limited to a certain group of British people. And I don't know exactly how they went about that. It hasn't gone into the details about that, the research that I've done so far. But even with this situation that we have right now, these Venezuelan gang members that are deemed gang members, I mean, how do you know? So these people just walk up and say, are you in a gang? I mean, and even if you are, let's say, undercover, you know that these are part of the gang. Have they committed have they broken a law yet? And are we at war with them in their country, in this country? We're not. Because you got to think about it. If you can implement it just because there's gangs, there are Asian gangs in this country. There are white gangs in this country. They're all over. I mean, from all over the place. From every country. There's some group that's here that these people are part of gangs. Due process. If we are at war with, Russia. If we was at war with Russia, Russian people here, yeah, they'd be grabbed up. No doubt. Now, if you're an American citizen, been here your whole life and all stuff like that, maybe not. But then again, this country gets it wrong a lot. Just in this situation right here, getting immigrants, we've taken up so many American citizens and called them immigrants. It's all, I mean, at least with Trump's attempt at this, and I can't say no other president, but I know for sure with Trump, it's been a debacle. Exactly, or allegedly. So that was the second time that it was used, rather. And yeah. And so we have the World War I, 1917, 1918. This is after the war. The U.S. declared a war on Germany in April 1917. President Woodrow Wilson invoked the Enemies Act to regulate German nationals living in the United States. And it says approximately 6,300 German Americans were detained in internment camps. We know about those in history, if we were taught that. German citizens were required to register with authorities and were restricted in travel, business, and other activities. Here's the thing. None of these people they've been snatching up have had these types of due processes. They just been snatching them up and taking them. It's insane. I mean, the idea of just taking it, we're going to get into some of the reasons behind this, but you see these reasons I'm trying to give you right now, these things that actually happen, there is a justification for them based on the law, implemented the way the law is supposed to be implemented. There is a due process to this. As with the British, they didn't take all British. They literally had to find out which ones were which. They didn't take all Germans. They literally had to register with authorities and find out which was which means it took some time to get these people. They just want to run around snatching them up, like the invasion of the body snatchers. The act, this is still for the World War I, was not applied to Austro-Hungarian or Ottoman citizens in the same way as the focus was mainly on Germans. Again, determining between the difference that we're at war with these people. We're not going to mess with the Austrian Austro-Hungarian or the Ottoman citizens, just the Germans. And even then, separating the Germans from the German, registered with the authorities. It's crazy. And then World War II. And that was 1941 to 1945. We all know what that was all about, Hitler and all that. But Franklin D. Roosevelt used the act immediately after the attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. The U.S. declared war on Japan, Germany, and Italy, which meant that Japanese, German, and Italian nationals living in the United States were classified as enemy aliens. More than 31,000 enemy aliens were interned in camps across the United States, separate from the Japanese American internment camps of the United States citizens. These individuals were forced to register with the United States government, and many faced property seizures, arrests, and deportations. These things were, again, we were at war with Japan, Germany, Italy. None of these things were just willy-nilly. They were after declared war. We have not declared a war with Venezuela. The news and other people should be saying Donald Trump is having a mental breakdown. I know he's trying it, but he has no validation for this. None of this is real. This is all made up in his head. Talk to a judge, interview a judge, and then you can get a better understanding. And then just say, you know what? When and if it ever makes the court, we'll bring it up. But from now on, batshit crazy. Next story. Now, there was a fourth time. It wasn't implemented the way this was implemented. This was the post 9/11 and the war on terror from 2001 to the present. While not explicitly cited as far as the Enemies Act, but the principles of the Alien Enemies Act were used after September 11th, 2001 attacks. George W. Bush, his administration, detained thousands of Middle Eastern, South Asians, and North African men under the U.S. Patriot Act, which expanded government authority over non-citizens in wartime or warlike conditions. The legal framework of Alien Enemies Act influenced Guantanamo Bay detentions, which Trump opened back up to do the same shit, military tribunals, and the handling of suspected terrorists. As you can see from what we just said, all of these things are at wartime. We are not at war with Venezuela. And these gangs, this is what I want to kind of get into, is that why would Donald Trump evoke this Alien Enemies Act of 1798? This is my opinion. Thank you so much. Let me get here real quick. Just saying for gifting 5 Straight Facts, no chaser memberships. I appreciate you. Thanks for anybody who supported me. I appreciate that. We're going to get into why I believe Donald Trump is evoking this. One, I think Donald Trump's numbers have went down. I know. I think he's registered that. And so he's doing things that are fulfilling his promises of the immigration, the evil that racist people wanted to put on others. In this situation, Venezuelan gangs. Now, you remember during his run as running for president, you may recall that there was this big thing in the newspapers and on news where he brought up Venezuelan gangs, whereas, Fox ran with it day in, day out. They still will mention stuff about it. These Venezuelan gangs. That was another fear-mongering thing to get people into this fear phase and believing everything Trump was saying because they were afraid. Just like when he said, the Haitians are eating the cats and dogs, it were all lies. This Aurora, Colorado incident in August of 2024, where he said that the video surfaced of these people, these armed individuals attempting to enter an apartment. Venezuelan gangs taking over, and it's all over the place. Every news was putting it, even liberal news was putting it out until they figured out it wasn't true. So this incident was cited as evidence of this group, this Venezuelan gang presence in this area. However, the local law enforcement there, including Aurora's interim police chief, stated that while the suspects were identified, there was no substantial evidence linking them to this gang, this Venezuelan gang. Moreover, the city's overall crime rate, like Democrats were screaming at the top of their lungs, because we look at the facts, is reportedly declining during this period. So they made people afraid of gangs and Venezuelans and others, because they're already going after Latin people, specifically Mexico. Talking about, they pull one story of somebody doing something. That one Latin young white girl, rather, who got killed by the Latin gang member or whoever he was. That's one story. They ride that story as if that is all of them coming over doing that. It's the majority of them over there. No, I'm sorry to tell you, there are more white men out here committing crimes than Latin immigrants. So let's start deporting some of them. Then once they commit a crime, let's send them back to Europe. How about that? That makes about as much sense. You got one person who committed crime, send them back. What's that got to do with all the rest of them working farms and hands all messed up, fingers all broken up because they can't go to the doctor because they out there working on machinery and doing all this shit in the sun, skin all burnt up and feel like fucking like an alligator's fucking skin. They out here taking care of their families, and you guys are trying to make them out to be some kind of, murderers and rapists and shit. It's just insane. Look in the mirror. There are more murderers and rapists that look like your white racist ass than any of these brown or black people. By the millions. It's just insane to me. It's insane to me. It's like, dude, call the criminals criminals. Stop putting everybody's culture as criminals just because one did it. Immigrants. This country is made of immigrants. Matter of fact, there's only indigenous and Native Americans who aren't. I know my people, we didn't immigrate to this bitch. We didn't come here on our own. We were snatched, kidnapped, enslaved. There's a difference. We didn't go through no paperwork to become a citizen. We didn't have to read anything to become a citizen. We became one by default. So no, we didn't come over here chasing the American dream. So we're not in that. But everybody else, you're immigrants. What makes you better than them? You just, the time in which you came, it's just insane to me. It's like you get here, you get privilege, and then all of a sudden, and I ain't talking about white privilege. I'm just talking about you get privilege as a citizen in this country, and then you shit on people who are trying to get it. You're the same as them. You're no different. How do you see yourself better than somebody when your ancestors were them? Do you hate your grandmother? Do you hate your mother? Do you hate your great-grandmother who came over here for the American dream? I hope not. So why the hell are you mad at them? Undocumented doesn't mean they're illegal. Do your homework. Undocumented is not illegal. People who just come running and don't have a reason, yeah, they go back. Most of them get kicked back. And if they don't, people don't know where they're at because they got here and got over the gate and got through without anybody recognizing them. But they're illegal, so they really can't get a job. They can't get insurance. They get sick. They just dead. It ain't even a situation where they're going to get help. They're taking a huge risk. But those aren't the people that they're going after. They're going after people who came here for asylum, went through their due process, been waiting on the courts to call them back, and the courts haven't called them back in 5, 6, 7, 20 years. Is it their fault the courts haven't called them back yet? No, it is not. Have they been chasing them? No. The majority, overwhelming majority, over 90-some% of them come back when you ask them. Come to court. Oh, okay. I've been waiting on this. I want to become a citizen. I'm working my butt off, paying taxes, and not being able to get any of it back. Can't vote. These people want to have a better life for their families. That's why they came here. It's because of their labor that we're one of the best economies in the world, because we have somewhat of free labor, enslavement in a sense. And that's what this country thrives on. That's why these farmers are just falling apart, because these people that they hated on work their farms. Who did you think you was going to get? You thought you were going to get an accountant? You thought black people were just going to go out in the fields again? Yeah, shit. Rather die first. So who did they think was going to come and tend their farm? Just regular ass Americans? No, sir. You pay shit money. Ain't nobody trying to go work in no field and barely make enough to feed yourself, let alone your family. That's the idiotic thing I ever heard. You know what I'm saying? It's just stupid. But they put themselves in that position. Now, this Colorado thing with the Venezuelan people, they got all these racists all up in arms. Oh, I don't want to, they've got these gangs, and you had all this, people on Fox and everybody just constantly talking about these Venezuelan gangs, to the point where you would see people on social media talk about, these Venezuelan gangs and, these Mexicans coming over and killing people and all this. And I'm sitting there like, you act like that shit's happening like everywhere. You literally are talking about one or two instances. And you say they always had a number that was different. Oh, there's 7 million people who came across. 12 million people came across. 30 million people came across. Oh, sure, they may have 100 million people. I'm like, you notice that we're in the same conversation. This wasn't like 6 weeks later. You're literally saying in the same fucking conversation from 3 to 100 million. That means you have no data. You're just making shit up. It's so Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's millions and billions and billions of millions and possibly trillions of millions and billions of dollars. All in one sentence. Who the hell does that? Maybe a 3-year-old. But anybody who has a concept of math knows it's thousands of dollars, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, maybe tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions, possibly billions. You go in the increments of how the number works. This fool is trillions of billions and millions and billions and billions of millions of dollars. Say what? It's insane. It's insane, y'all. I laugh at this stuff on the regular, y'all. You got to laugh or you cry. But I think this is all for Donald Trump's political strategy. You see, Donald Trump thought his numbers were going to just skyrocket because these racists were riding with him until they started firing him. Like, I didn't know he was coming after me. I thought he was coming after brown people and black people and some of those DEI white women. I didn't know he was coming after me. And they're getting fired left and right. Oh, I voted for you, Trump. I remember when it first started happening. Some of them, it was comedy. Some of them would get straight to social media and act like they had a direct link to Trump. Trump, I'm sorry, I don't understand, but you fired me. I mean, the dude who voted for you. I mean, me, Trumper, hat, look, flag. I'm over here. I was like, fool, did you realize that in your job, you have white privilege, which literally means in the department in which they were going to cut, there's literally like 4 black people. If you got 4 black people working in your department, it's understandable that, like, if they're getting rid of 50% of you, you can guarantee that 50% of you gonna be white. And you one of the 50%, bruh. I mean, do the math. There's literally 2.2 million employees in the federal government. 2.2 million. It is 880,000 black, Latino, and people of color. It is 1.32, something like that, million white people. And you didn't think you was going to get cut? You don't need to be working for the government. You too stupid. How the hell you don't know the higher number is going to get let go the most? It's not like they hired all the people of color and put them all in one area, like Black Wall Street. You're just going to blow up and take care of that department. Some of the dumbest shit. Man, it's the dumbest shit ever. Dude. I just laugh at him. I'm like, dude, you a sucker. You a straight sucker. You literally thought that he wasn't going to attack you because you got on this white train thinking like, yeah, white power. This, white nationalists. It's all about us. It's all about suckering y'all. And now it's all about getting rid of y'all because your white skin is no comparison to dollar bills, the ones that are greenbacks. He likes green more than he likes white. Just look at how many white people he don't let go. You should have known. If you didn't have it like this, you weren't number one with him. You were down there with the black people, just a little bit above us. But if there's only like 7 of us and there's 1 million of y'all about to get wiped out. Point blank, period. It was simple, but hatred had them so messed up that they were in this hate train and didn't even realize that the train they was on was due for a wreck. The train they was on was filled with TNT. And they thought the black train was going to get it. It's hilarious to me. Comedy. But I think Donald Trump is trying to get his numbers back up. And so, what was one of the main mantras this man was always talking about? Venezuelan gangs. Even though it was lies. So, he's trying to feed that hatred and say, look what we're doing to these Venezuelans. We're even getting them when they're young babies. They're 14 years old and up. And look how we're treating them. Just disrespectfully. Y'all like this, right? Don't worry about the jobs you're going to lose. You like us treating these people like this because that's the reason why you elected him. You wanted him to treat others badly so that you can feel better because you're safe and white. You're not going through what they're going through. Look what we're doing to brown people, black people, and people of color. You're safe because we're kicking them out. So that's his gamble. We'll see if it comes true if his numbers in the next couple days or so actually go up. If they do, he knows what to do to get his people back on his side. See, this is my assumption because when his numbers went down, you usually hear Donald Trump say something, you know what I'm saying, like to try and negate it. But he ain't said nothing about it. As far as I've seen, I don't follow his truth. I just haven't had anybody actually post it to me. So I believe this man is doing his best to stay over the hump. So he's trying to push his numbers back up. He's trying to get his people to go out and buy Teslas. Y'all saw that commercial he did with Teslas. And I mean, it was just so egregious. This man he literally had a car sales sheet and how much each car was. I mean, was he really? I didn't see the full interview, but was he really going to get on there and say, you guys can come now to the White House. We got a car, we got a whatever, Tesla, whatever, red at $17.99 or whatever the heck it is. $500 a month. $500 a month for a truck. I mean, what was he planning on doing with the numbers? Why does he have the price of the vehicles on the White House lawn? That's pathetic. You're supposed to look at the president as somebody who's above all that shit. And that's all he's about. That's why you should never have a business person as president. Money, money, money is all they care about. The government is not a business. We should run it to the point where we aren't in debt. Yes. Being fiscally conservative is not a Republican thing. It is a responsible thing. Being able to pay for something that you make, responsible. What people don't get, and what's really kind of threw me off, is that the most fiscally responsible group, as far as parties go, has always been the Democrats. Whenever they created a bill, they always had a way to pay for it. And it was not tax cuts. And it was not raising the taxes all the time. What it was is making the rich pay their fair share. Taking things where there's a lot of money and that we may not need, cut that. Cut the military funding. And then the Republicans are always like, no, more military, more military. They're trying to cut funding right now and yet increase the military by $6 billion. How How did you say you saved so many billions of dollars? And instead of paying down the debt, you're going to give the military $6 billion and you haven't even gotten to the military to cut. How are you going to give them money when you haven't went and seen how they're spending the money already? It's just insane, y'all. It's insane. And my question, true question for Democrats, leadership. Why don't you guys have a committee watching Doge? I'm not, I mean, is there one? I mean, I haven't heard it. Again, this is the miscommunication of Democrats, because I'm like, you guys should have a committee put together that's auditing Doge to see what they're doing. Last time the budget was balanced was Clinton. Yes, Azure. Yes, sir. I mean, oh, ma'am, I don't know who you are. Sorry, I said yes. I said yes, sir. Just as a euphemism. I don't mean the actual, man or woman. But yeah, that was under Clinton. And I, like I said, I have disagreements with almost every president on certain things. Like for Clinton, I voted for him twice. I was in college at the time, but he was a part of signing NAFTA, which I thought was a bad idea. Now here it is. Being truthful, I didn't know all of what NAFTA was at the time. I did not. I found out later, in which being a grown man and knowing business and how things work, Bill Clinton and his vice president should have known, had to have known what they were doing was destroying a lot to deal with the American livelihood. Because what they did was literally get rid of industries in this country and sent them overseas, good paying, union paid jobs, left America to be non-union in another country. How is that going to make the middle class grow stronger? It was going to destroy the middle class. And the only person who had that, well, I guess the only person probably still around who had that right was Bernie Sanders at the time. But he was a representative and not a senator at the time. But he said it along with other unions. It's like you're sending good paying jobs, whereas the American citizen only had to work at that factory and take care of their family. Just one person could work and take care of a family. The fall of that was Bill Clinton signing that bill in 1994. Now, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. It wasn't Bill Clinton's bill. He supported it, though. He could have said nay, but he supported it. It was George Herbert Walker Bush's bill. He created it right before he came into office, but the deal had kind of already been made. But it would have took some real, like, how can I say, for lack of a better term, like guts, real guts for him to say, no, this is going to destroy the American family. How are they going to get these jobs? He's going to send all the factories overseas. Because you got to understand something. At the time when all that stuff was happening, and even in this country, if you remember, if you're my age or more seasoned than I am, I'm 54. The way you made money back in the day and had like a good job was that you got a job at the factory in which you lived in. If you lived in like Gary, Indiana, it was a steel factory. If you worked and worked, your biggest thing was, if you're going to stay in your hometown, is getting to the steel factory. If you're like in a place like Indiana, it was like getting to, the bread factory like Wonder Bread, or getting into some factory that literally was paying living wage. People who worked in factories literally took part in the American dream. They could buy a home. They had, money. They had a 401k, things of this nature. It was in a union. They got paid more than way above minimum wage. So in every state, there's industry. And those industries, if they go overseas, which they did to Mexico, to China, and to Canada, if it goes over there, these people are not going to get paid the same wages that we're going to get paid. So therefore, the product is going to be made very much cheaper, and the rich are going to get richer. And the idea was the same crap they always try and sell you. Trickle down. We're going to send all that shit over there. And we're going to make a shit ton of money. And then we're going to start a new industry in America. And then we're going to start putting money in that. And everybody's going to win. I call bullshit. And they should have known that too. That gave way to Silicon Valley. That's the new industry that came about from all that. The tech industry. Right? The internet bubble and all that other shit like that. That world came about because this world of factories left the country. So that's what we're going to actually build on. And right when Obama was coming in, the other industries that he was talking about was renewable energies. You know, windmills and, you know, powering by water or hydrogen or whatever it was, so that we wouldn't be relying on other countries or anything like that. We can go off our own energy sources and then be making American products and having, you know, jobs that where you only have to work one job and take care of a family. But every time America tries to get back on that train, they always want to renegotiate, the billionaires, to create another way to rob Americans of ever achieving the American dream. It's harder now. Our kids are going to have a hard time achieving the American dream. And the thing is that because of the gig economy, they have a better chance to be their own bosses and make a living that way. You know, doing the things that we do on these social media apps and things like that. They have a better chance there than going to work for the factories, because we really don't make enough here to provide enough jobs for those factories. Those factories are pretty much filled with jobs already. We'd have to have more innovation. And like I said, the innovation in this country is coming from the smaller businesses. And if we can get more funds put to them, more jobs will grow, and living wage jobs at that. But what they got now, they can barely pay you minimum wage. That's why nobody wants to bring up like I say nobody, why a certain group of people don't want to have the minimum wage go up to $15, because you're not giving money to these smaller businesses to grow. You're giving them to the large businesses. If you gave it to the smaller businesses, you can have a living wage, because these people are going to get jobs, right? And spend it in the economy and have a living wage job, meaning they going to work, they're being able to buy a house. A lot can happen. But we have to hold their feet to the ground, and we got to have people who are literally fighting for that. I have yet to hear one politician, personally, bring up what I've said. Stop giving the subsidies to the wealthy and start giving it to the middle class and the people who are fighting to try and get ahead. The people who are poor and middle class. Poor people who have ideas, great ideas, but don't have the funding. Start giving it to them. They pay taxes. Give it to them to build and put some parameters on it. They would have no problems with you saying, you got to do this, you got to do this, but you don't owe the money back. You just got to reach these metrics, and then we'll help you with more money. These metrics, then get them with KPIs, key performance indicators, and say, look, if you have a business plan and you got it to a certain level that we can see it, then the government should be able to say, okay, we're going to give you subsidies because we need this to be built for, you know, whatever in our government. And then be able to say, okay, cool. Now you reach that KPI that you've gotten it to this point. You made $1 million doing it. Okay, now we need to do it for the military people, stuff like that. Here's $30 million to multiply that, to make that large enough to be able to sustain our military in Eastern Europe or whatever. That could be a thing. But they go get billionaires who end up wasting the money and never paying it back. That's not fiscally conservative. That's wasteful spending. Because the people who are down below trying to get ahead, they're going to do everything they can. They're going to try to do the right things no matter what. They have been trained to live in this straight and narrow bubble. If somebody give me an opportunity, I'm going straight and narrow. I ain't going to fuck this up. Rich people, they done had everything in their life. They don't give a fuck if they fuck you over or not. They already know they got 17 lawyers that you ain't going to never be able to touch them. They'll have you in court until they're dead. So we need to focus on the people. That's what I say. There are too many bright and brilliant people that are young, and all they need is funding. They got the energy, they got the brilliance, they got the time, they got the effort, you know what I'm saying? And they got the like the passion to do stuff like this. And they're healthy. They got the time to accomplish said goals. And this is the way I look at we need to invest in our young. We always talk about putting them through school and stuff like that, and that's fine. They need to go to school. But there are many of our people, and I mean humans, that aren't school like savvy. It's like that's not where they thrive. They may do excellent at woodwork. They may be great at architecture. They may be exceptional at fashion. And we should be able to say, you know what? We need this stuff right now. Put it to work. And our government dollars should focus on that instead of giving it to billionaires to build shit that we ain't gonna never use. Or we recommission and sell it to somebody for a quarter of what we spent to build it. We didn't even use this. Oh, we ain't even gonna build it no more. Really? We spent $2 trillion on shit we ain't gonna never use? Talk about wasteful spending. But yeah. Gotta run to the store. All right, take care. Being Loco. See you. For listening. Don McClain, bye-bye, Miss America Pie. Drove my trade. Yeah, but the levee was dry. Since all those corporate losing money now, it's the time for small businesses to grow. Vera, 100%. 100%. That's the way I look at it. Make billionaires illegal. Right, Benny Loco? I didn't get a chance to see that. I remember Billy Joel saying about still jobs. And yeah, Allentown, Pennsylvania, you're right, Dan, in the late 70s. See, a lot of those jobs are gone. And therefore, people can't, everybody's feeling it. I don't care what anybody says. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, human. Everybody's feeling it. That is middle class or low income or poor. You know that even when you get a good job, that the money doesn't go as far as it used to. When I mean a good job, let's say you make a job that's, $50,000 a year. You're young, in your 20s or whatever. That's still, it's sad. When I grew up, 50,000 was a good thing that you could be able to, take care of a family with that. Now, with rent, you're paying about $50,000 a year in rent. You ain't even talked about your food. You ain't talked about your clothing. You ain't talked about your car. You ain't talked about your insurance. You ain't talking about your health insurance. You ain't talking about bills. You ain't talking about all the utilities. You ain't talking about, entertainment and going out and hanging out with friends and your alcohol budget or whatever you drink or whatever you do. You ain't talking about that shit. You just talking about the bare necessities. Cell phone, your bare necessities. It's hard to get by on a $50,000 a year salary. There are people I know who make well over $100,000 a year, still struggling. Because again, you may have bought that house when $100,000 was not that. That was a good job to have. That's why you got the actual loan to get the house. But then you didn't realize everything's going to go up like crazy. And it's some people who took that adjustable rate, you know what I'm saying? Your interest just went straight up instead of having a fixed rate. So it's a lot that goes into it. But as far as the income for American citizens, for over 40 years, the American citizens have not had enough raises to be able to compare with inflation. So you're far behind. Except for wealthy people, CEOs and above, they're the only ones who've gotten paid above every year what we increase through inflation. And so, and the cost of living, it just goes higher and higher each year. And your salary is never going to match it. That's why we always got to have supplemental stuff. Because again, these billionaires don't care about the average folks. You got to think about this for a hot second. If your company can afford to give the CEO And here's the thing that trips you out. If you ever, we all worked, you won't even see the CEO. That man or woman ain't in the office but what? Once or twice a month for some businesses. They may be traveling and doing their thing and coming up with meetings and stuff that we don't see, but they'll come to their office very seldom. And by the end of the year, say, yeah, the CEO just got a raise. How much? About 17 million. A raise for 17? How much they make? It's insane. And then here you are getting 3% raise. Oh, I got a 3% raise. That's good. Yeah, really. Everything increased by like 13%, but you got 3%. Whew, good for you. Sounds like ramen noodles you're going to be eating for the next 6 months. It's insane to everybody, almost everybody. I ain't going to say everybody, but almost everybody. Because even if you live below your means, you're still going to be in trouble with the way things move because you have to really live way below your means. And that's becoming harder because, again, I don't know what state you guys are in, but you can get an apartment, right? That 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom that costs more, way more than a mortgage. And you can be in a situation where you can't put down a down payment because you don't have that kind of money. And therefore, if you don't put the down payment down, of course, your shit's going to be way higher, or they may not even give it to you. A lot of times they'll do if you get a first-time home buyer. But it's just insane, all the different things that people have to deal with. And the reason why I believe if we really want to boost the economy, it gets down to if you're going to subsidize anybody, subsidize the poor, the low income, and the middle class. Because this way you can get them motivated to start businesses, to become a part of the economy and start investing into like 401ks, Roth IRAs, CDs, buying stock and stuff of that nature. And you're creating more, a robust economy. Those people are going to be excited and willing to change their lives. They see their lives change, they're going to start investing more, boosting the economy, sustainable boosting. But when you got them poor and not no opportunities, then it's all about, what they say, entitlement programs. They got to get, supplemental income on top of working a full-time job. That's where we should go with it. But that's just me. I've been on here for a minute, y'all. I'm thankful that you guys come by. I'm going to talk to some of y'all, answer some of your questions if you have any. DJ, plus you have to work twice as hard because of decreased labor. Exactly. And here's the thing, DJ, it's like for a lot of these, including me in the past, it's like a lot of these times that you had a living wage job, doing very well by yourself. You say, okay, good. And then what happened? These corporations decide, you know what? We're going to lay off some people. But they don't really want to lay you off. They want to fire you and then rehire you at a lower rate. And you're like, I'm barely getting by and I've been working here 15 years. I got to this rate right here where the business is kind of like going through some things. We're going to close down or, you give up some of your cash. And then you give up some of your cash. And now you've been working a job for 17 years, making way less than you were when you was working there for only 8 years. You don't went back down. You're just happy to have a job to take care of your family, something you figure out another way to supplement. Better than starting at zero for many people who take that route. In this country, these corporations, these capitalistic worms, leeches, are doing their damnedest to destroy people's lives and build their own, when in fact, they were never really having a problem. They just weren't making as much money as they wanted to. And they figured if I want to get a 25% increase on my return investment, I need to fire you and rehire you at a lower rate. Oh, the business is never in trouble. It was just the fact that, we've been telling our investors that we're going to get 25% of return of increased investment every year. And we're close to that. But if we fire you and rehire you at a lower rate, we meet it. Then we can ask them for more millions if we meet them. That's pretty much what they're doing. And again, that's not for the people. That's for the billionaires. D West, what's up, man? What's happening? Have you ever seen the show on Prime called Bad Faith? It's everything that's going on today. It will really piss you off. I think it's a documentary, right? I think I did. I did see that. I did. A lot of that. A lot of that. I've watched a couple documentaries on what's going on, and especially for like the far right and the things they did. I posted it, not on Bad Faith. I may have posted one saying, check out Bad Faith I'll say about 5 months ago, something like that. Keep getting commercials. I don't know why. I mean, I don't have any way to turn off and do commercials. Talking about doing this live. These new condos have here in Milwaukee for one bedroom, $1,500. It's insane, right? They are growing astronomically. Here's the thing, and I don't know those condos. I can't tell you what your particular community is, but I know a lot in LA and throughout the United States. Corporations are buying homes and selling them. Single family homes and everything. Didn't used to be able to do that. But now, I don't know how many years it's been, but they can do that. And so when they buy them up, they can charge outrageous fees. And that's a part of a form of gentrification, to be able to kick the people out through their economic status or through their racial status or through whatever it may be, to kick you out. And in this situation, it's usually economic. So they'll come into a community, it could be an all-white community, but everybody's paying, $800, $900. It's like, we want this to be $1,500 and up. And then they either buy up property and build property around a certain area, charge $1,500, and then everybody around them is like, wait a minute, the value of our homes are going up, and therefore, that's what they'll do, and end up renting out a crappy apartment that's been there since 1958 for $1,500 because the nice one across the street doing the same thing. And as it starts to edge, certain group of people can only live in that community, people who can make that kind of money. And so, it's a gradual thing. And again, our government should be protecting American citizens from corporations buying up the American dream. The American dream should not be going further and further and further and further away from the American people. If you work hard, put in that, and save money and be conservative with it and get it to grow, you should be able to live in a nice place, right? A safe space, have a nice car and all that stuff like that, and live the American dream. And I'm not saying the American dream is not possible. I'm just saying it's just so much harder now because of these things. And again, as that happens, we have this gig economy stuff, which we can make money, but again, that's spread out. You know what I'm saying? You're doing 15 different jobs, which means you're an expert at none of them. And therefore, you're trying your best just to make it get by. But if you become an expert, you can charge more and only have one gig. But it's hard to do when you're living in a gig economy. See what else we got before I get out of here. They want more money, more power, more money. It's a vicious cycle, Roger. You're right. You're right. Azur, it's classism. They hate the poor and need to maintain a working class living paycheck to paycheck. And I quoted a quote from 2019 or something like that, where it was 2018. It was 80% at that time of, this is before the pandemic, of course, were living paycheck to paycheck. 80% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck. I just heard, and I think I said this last week, a new stat from Bernie Sanders, who said it's 60% now. 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, which literally means 60% of Americans are a tax increase away, you know what I'm saying, from, possibly being homeless, or a tariff away from not being able to afford, their bills and stuff like that. But on average, those people live paycheck to paycheck. They're literally less than 3 to 4 paychecks away from being homeless. So if they did like Donald Trump and they start firing people left and right because they're uncertain about the economy because Trump's just flipping shit out, they can fire many people at corporations, at companies and factories and things of that, and manufacturers, that a vast swath of them, they're not good at anything else. And that's something else that when they passed NAFTA that they didn't take into consideration. A lot of these people were working jobs. They've been working that way 10, 15 years, damn near a lifetime. When those factories went away, they didn't know anything else. They didn't know computers. They didn't know technology at all. All they knew was manual labor shit. And when manual labor left, what do you think these people did? They went on unemployment. They went to retire if they could early. They got welfare, right? They couldn't find no other job doing what they was doing and making what they was making. And they knew this. This is why I hold not only George Herbert Walker Bush, I hold Bill Clinton responsible as well. Because they both knew. Even though Clinton didn't create it, he still allowed it to go through. And I don't know the situation in which he had to do it because it's already signed, sealed, delivered. I'm not sure. But it is what it is. See what else we got here before we get out of here. I want to thank you guys for supporting. Oh, let me take that down real quick. I still got the Cash App and all that stuff right there. I'll take it down. But it's crazy with the stuff that's happened in this this country in since like the 90s even. It was 94 when they signed that. A lot of the things that happened to us, they aren't defined at the time or even explained to the people. And so we really got to dig deep as to like what they're doing. You know what I mean? The NAFTA, regular citizens wouldn't have known because they hid it from them and they promoted it like it was something good. And now with Donald Trump and all the things that they're doing, a lot of the things they are doing is for the rich to get richer. But they promoting it like they're doing something for the people. And it's usually something racist that they just get people to get excited about being evil to other people, or something misogynist, or something xenophobic or transphobic, or something with an phobic or a ism attached to it, and it gets people's emotions up. Their fear starts to rise, and they ignore all the shit that he's about to do to everybody because they're so focused on the hatred they have for whatever specific audience they do not like. And we have to be vigilant and get through that stuff and not take that stuff like to heart. We really got to know what they're talking about instead of just listening to it and just, whatever. We need to really understand why. And that's a part of our Democrat Party and the new type of leaders we need to vote on. Those people who are going to pledge to educate us on what they're doing while they're doing it, as opposed to like telling us after they either voted for it or like the day before they vote for it, or write an op-ed, whatever. We need to have a pipeline. And I'm working on something like that. I mentioned it in one of my quick questions about, and everything I mentioned, I'm working on. You know what I mean? I'm going to need funding for a lot of it, but I'm working on it because I think we need them. And we need people who will be savvy enough to be able to implement these things so that we can have more of a input to our leaders. It's going to take some time because us being lax, like I said before, we're good citizens, just think the government's supposed to work for us and we just go to work, come back, pay our taxes, be good people. There are forces that hate us, that are constantly spending hours and days and years and decades to destroy not only black folks, but the rights of women, the rights of white women, the rights of trans and gay and everything. It's like, dude, just leave people the fuck alone. Live your life. Live yours. Because trust me, what group of, if white women, black people, men and women, people of color, men and women, all decided one day that we're just going to come together and fuck with white men, would they like that shit? Like we come together and just consistently just go after them. Just go after them. You know, we don't have nothing against you all. It's just there's a certain group that keeps fucking with everybody. If all these people got together and start fucking with that group, even white men who are good, fucking with that group of men, they would have a shit fit. But I do believe we'd be able to destroy that. But we'd have to all come together somehow. It's just a thought. Good night, DJ. You out of here? Take care. Have a good one. Thank you for being here. I'm about to go myself. A long time ago, Walmart used to say and tell buy American while the founder of the store was going over to China to make deals. It's a lot of the stuff is hypocritical because they just want to make money. And however that is to make it cheaper. And here's the thing. Here is the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. And it tells you what type of people who just care about money are. All of these corporations, before they sent stuff overseas to do, they were astronomically rich already. They didn't have to send this stuff overseas. They just felt like, I don't want to pay these people. It got to a certain point that these people were making a living and doing good off of their backs, and they wanted to take money out of their mouths, out of their kids' mouths, out of their pockets, so that it'd be in their pocket. They wanted to get slave labor, not take care of American citizens. That's what it was all about. And at some point, we're going to have to break this fever we have with these billionaires and start helping each other rise and literally say, eat the rich. These people, and I'm not talking about just every rich person, because there are many out there doing good, but the ones who are literally focused on destroying the lives of others, the ones who never say anything good about people, they're always calling everything entitlement programs and, you know, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Those people need to be attacked because they know damn well they're lying. These people are already pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. They're working harder than any of these people who are rich ever worked in their lifetime. It's just that they're not getting paid worth a damn to do it. That's the real truth. Hey, Tim said, mind your own damn business, right? Who else to say? I think that's pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. If you want to follow, please do. Unfollow, subscribe, please do. You want to be a member, appreciate it. I'm on all the different social media platforms. I'm on Blue Sky, MrStraightFacts. I'm on Substack, also MrStraightFacts. I'm on TikTok, MrStraightFacts. So, and Instagram is the same. I think it's Mr__Straight Facts 23 or something like that. But you can check me out. You can click the link on my YouTube channel. It'll have it on there as well if you want to follow me on any of those social media platforms. But I'm here to give you the facts. I'm here to just, explain things away, not away, but explain them so that we're just confused about them. I want to be able to clarify. Sometimes they talk in mystical ways, like you have no idea what they're talking about. And I like to do the research and kind of like explain it to some degree, bring some light to it so that we're not in the dark. I think, for me at least, I think a lot of politicians, they speak over your head. They say terms that really doesn't resonate with the average American. So those who do understand it, it's hard for us to translate to people because they don't understand the lingo. So we have to bring it down to a level of just average everyday citizens. And that's what I try to do. I'm going to succeed sometimes, I'm going to fail at other times. But one thing I'll never do, and that's stop trying. All right? I appreciate y'all chatting. Thank you, Benny Loco. Cheers to you. Be safe, everybody. Eat the rich, Nina. You know what I'm saying? And I'll see you guys tomorrow around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for another show of the Mr. Straight Facts Show. I appreciate you for all the gifts you're giving me, for anything that you sent me through any of the platforms, PayPal, Zelle, whatever. It helps us grow and helps me get better and better at what I do and provide a better service. So, also I have a store that has all different, my stuff on it, Straight Facts. Just say shop.straightfacts.com. That's also straightfactsnochaser.com. That's also on a link on my YouTube. So if you like any, I think most of it right now is like coffee mugs, but there's shirts and stuff like that, sweaters, and that I'll put up as well. So thank you guys for everything. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Mr. Straight Facts Show. Take care. As always, stay brilliant. And I'll see you when I see you.